Hello, my name is John Ensminger. I'm the developer of Rhythm Lab, an app for the iPad. In this video, I'll show you some ways Rhythm Lab can be helpful when you're working on your improvisational skills. You can create custom rhythm patterns and read them in what you might call a rhythm lead sheet. And Rhythm Lab gives interactive feedback to help you to adjust and improve your rhythmic reading accuracy. First, we will look at the basic chord progression and voicing I'll be using. Then I'll show you how I like to set up the iPad using Rhythm Lab and also iReal Pro for backing tracks. Following that, I will go through several practice sessions using a variety of rhythmic patterns I created using Rhythm Lab's custom rhythm features. I hope you enjoy the video. For this rhythmic exercise, or these rhythmic practice sessions, we'll be using a basic 2-5-1 chord progression. And we'll start in C major, 2 being a minor chord, D minor, and the voice I'm going to use looks like this. D in the bass, I'll use my left hand for the root, and then 4 notes in the right hand, the 7th, the 9th, the 3rd, and the 5th. So 2, 7, or 2 minor 9, and then we will go to the 5 chord. One little change, C moves to B and the bass moves to G. So there's your 5. E is the added 13th. F is 7. A is 9. So this is the 5 chord, and then the 1 chord. Keep the B, that's a major 7th above the root. 9th, 3rd, and 5th. Okay, so 2, 5, 1. Now, in order to transpose this, I'm going to convert the major 9 chord into a minor 7 chord or minor 9 chord. So I'll take the major C major chord and convert it into a minor chord, minor 7th, 9th, minor 3rd. So now this is the 2 chord. This will take us to the key of B flat major. There's the 5 with the added 13th, 7th, 9th, 3rd, and there's our B flat major 9. Convert this to minor and so on. Minor, 5, 1, and we'll keep transposing that downward. Notice that each time I do the transposition, convert the major 1 chord to a minor 2 chord, that takes you down a whole step. If I keep doing that, I'll end up on D major eventually. Let's go from C major to D major, go down by whole step. C, B flat, A flat, G flat, convert G flat to F sharp to E, to D, and then I'm back where I started. And we'll take this chord progression and superimpose it on top of various rhythm patterns to practice the rhythms. All right, so let's take a look at how to set up the iPad with Rhythm Lab and iReal Pro. First of all, I'm going to make sure my MIDI connection is working. So I'm using a Casio Privia keyboard. We'll save that, it should show up. Let's test it. Let's toggle the keyboard and test. Looks like it's working. Let's turn the iPad Rhythm Lab sounds off. We'll use the sound of the keyboard rather than the built-in sounds. You can choose a lot of different sounds here in Rhythm Lab, but for now we'll just use the keyboard sound that I have on the actual keyboard. So that's working. We need to find a custom pattern to use. I have made this in advance. It's a single pattern. Call it Improv Rhythms. There we go. There are 11 patterns in all. In this custom pattern set, we won't use all 11. I'll just use a sampling from this, starting with this basic Charleston rhythm. Notice that I used my Apple Pencil tool in order to mark in the chords. I just used the iReal Pro method of marking, so that first chord will be a D minor 7th. I use a minus sign in iReal Pro to indicate minor. So D minor 7, G7, C major 7, there's the basic progression. Now for this particular exercise, we're going to want to use the looping tool. So notice I have a looping bar here. I can slide it around to get whichever measures under the loop that I want. I can loop all the measures or just one measure or two measures, whatever I want. In this case, I want to do all the measures. Okay, notice that my tempo is set at 100. If I want to change it, I can either use the slider or the plus and minus signs here, or I can press the button and do a little bit more with it. Change the sounds and the volume level of the strong and weak beats. Change the kit type. I have different kinds of drum kits built in because of the sound font we're using, the Fluid General MIDI sound font. You can change the tempo here and then save it. We'll just leave it at 100 because the first pattern we're going to do for this Charleston rhythm in iReal Pro is going to be just a basic medium swing, which is at 100. Now notice I only want to do the D minor 7, G7, C major 7 progression, and then the C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7 progression. I don't want to do all of the progressions. So what I can do in iReal Pro is use the looping function by pressing here and just selecting the measures I want to loop. So now I'm going to loop those. And we should be ready. This first rhythm pattern we're going to do is the Charleston pattern. I've created a set of custom rhythm patterns. I'm going to pull them down from the menu. I've already marked them with my Apple Pencil. I can use this tool here. I'm going to pull out the iReal Pro. I've got this 251 chord progression charted in iReal Pro for all the keys. In this case, we're only going to do the first two patterns, going from C major to B flat major. So I'll loop the iReal Pro pattern for just the first two lines. I've got my tempo set at 100. I need to make sure I've got the looping set on Rhythm Lab. Hopefully this is ready to go. Let's try it. This time, I'll do the same pattern, but with no looping in iReal Pro. I'll go all the way down to the D major 7 chord, so 6 different keys. Okay, and I missed a chord or two and kind of altered a few chords, but that should give you the idea of how to do this with Rhythm Lab. I will also mention that if you don't like the way this is notated, first of all, Rhythm Lab doesn't really care about the length of the notes as long as the onset or the attack is correct, unless you press this little duration button down on the right. It'll check durations for you then. I don't want to do that because I like to have a little more flexibility. But the other thing that you can do is you can go to the custom screen and change the durations. If you don't like the fact that it's a quarter note, eighth note rest in the first measure, you can go here. I can copy that same pattern. First Charleston rhythm. I can edit this and change that quarter note with the rest into a dotted quarter. And then I can add this back into my pattern set, or I can create a new pattern set, whatever I want to do there. For this next rhythm, Samba son clave, I'll be using the keyboard overlay on the pad and the same basic progression in iReal Pro, but I've changed the style to Jazz Latin with a much faster tempo at 180 beats per minute. In this session, we'll do the Samba son clave rhythm again, but this time in 12/8 with a rather fast tempo. And if you noticed some orange and blue notes, orange means I hit a little late, blue means I hit a little early. And you can use those color-coded notes to help guide you on each repeat. Hopefully be able to improve as you practice over time. With this next pattern, we'll be doing an irregular meter. 7/4 time signature for 3 measures and then 1 measure of a 4/4 bar. With this rhythm, we'll be doing another mixed meter 8/8, 7/8, 8/8, 7/8 with some rather tricky syncopations. Here we have a pattern that mixes 6/4 with 5/4 meters. This is based on the Matheny Mays song First Circle, again with some syncopations. Thanks for watching. Check out the latest version of Rhythm Lab on the App Store by following the link in the description below.